Mickey Talks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 30. What, Matt?
Number 35 today.
35, and they said it wouldn't last.
Too
Matt
bad
Davis.
there's not a pick two. I'd play the pick two tonight. 35.
I guess we're going to jump right into it. It is the guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen. I am so honored that this man decided to come on Mickey Talks, which, let me do this real quick, brought to us by Barnes Paving. Barnes Paving is MHIC licensed and insured and accredited with the Better Business Bureau. BarnesPaving.com. That's BARNES paving.com. Give them a call anytime, 443-243-3710. And make sure you mention Mickey Talks to get 10% off at Barnes Paving.
Thank you, Barnes Paving.
Thank you. Now, Matt, joining us today, a gentleman came to Baltimore in 1977, and he has been talking to us as of today for 47 and a half years. It is the legendary WJZ TV personality, Mr. Marty Bass.
So excited to have him.
How are you, my friend?
Mickey, I'm here. I'm good. Great seeing you.
It is so good to see you, Marty.
Yeah, good seeing you.
You are, to me, and I've said this many times, you are to me someone that most of my memorable life, I was born in 68, so I'm 9 years old when you came to Baltimore. And all of my memories of TV news, you, Bob Turk, Jerry Turner, Al Sanders. I mean, I could just go down the list.
That's the dream team, right?
That is the team forever. And Marty, you started weather. Correct? You came to Baltimore to do weather?
I came to Baltimore to do weather on weekends and then be a feature reporter.
Right.
And finally tonight, here's Marty riding a killer whale. And that was a big part of newscasts back in the 70s.
Absolutely.
80s. And it still exists today. It's just kind of framed a little bit different.
Yeah.
But there are two sides to life,
right. Yeah,
night
man.
and day.
Yeah.
So finally, here's Marty riding a circus elephant.
When you think back on all the things you did in your career, what is the one thing where you go, man, how lucky? I mean, this is just
every freaking day.
Really, buddy?
I swear to you.
But there had to be some things that stood out, at least for you to be able to say, hey, man, that was pretty cool. Give me a pretty cool moment.
Oh, okay. Within the past 3 years doing WJZ at 9, I worked with a guy named K2, my cameraman, Kunta Kinte Stanley.
Yeah.
And we were our own little team.
No kidding.
We are on the same wavelength. We do good work together. We stay under the radar.
Yeah, man.
We recently revisited on the 3rd anniversary of WJZ at 9, the top 5 places we've been, top 5 people we've met. Because people ask us, what are the coolest things you've done?
Yeah.
And we actually have a consensus. Number 1 on the list is going to the Maryland Center for History and Culture on Park Avenue, a super cool place. Go to the website. I think it's mdhistory.org.
Yeah.
They have Francis Scott Key's original Star Spangled Banner. Handwritten.
Love that.
Handwritten.
It's
Wow.
it's in a case. It's under lock and key. I always thought it would have been at the Smithsonian.
That's what I would have thought it was.
National
At the archives.
But it belongs here, right?
Yeah, it does belong here.
Well, it was in the Key family, and they kind of it was bequeathed to the Walters then art gallery,
Right.
and then somehow it got to the Maryland Center for History and Culture. It's in a frame, not unlike the Declaration of Independence or Washington's speech where he resigned his commission,
right,
that you can see in the State House in Annapolis.
Yeah.
I guess it's argon gas or something that will prevent light from killing it.
Wow.
But after Key was released, he went to a happy hour somewhere.
Right.
Somewhere
in South Baltimore.
Colonial Hammerjacks.
Colonial Hammerjacks.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
back then it was called Jack Hammers.
exactly correct. But he had his pen and his ink, and he had great penmanship. He wrote it out longhand.
He was an attorney, wasn't he? Yeah.
You can see where he scratched some things out, and then you can see where he obviously let it dry, folded it up neatly, and put it in his pocket. You can still see the folds.
Now, I thought he wrote it on the ship. Did he not write it on the ship? He just remembered the ship.
So, Marty, correct me if I'm wrong. The story goes that he wrote it in his mind.
In his mind, yeah.
On the ship. He had nothing to write with.
Okay.
So he kept saying it all night over and over to remember it.
Wow.
And then
He wrote it down.
Then he went in the next day. Yeah.
Sitting there banging a glass of wine, glass of mead, whatever.
Yeah.
And he went, ew.
So-
And, you know, I will, when we get a break or afterwards, I've got a picture. I'll show
There's
you.
no break, Marty. We're going straight through,
And
buddy.
you can see the O.
I can't wait. So when you look back on your TV,
Can I just finish that story
yes,
just
sir,
real quick?
please.
So that is number one. It was so overwhelming to be as close as I am to this bottle of water reading it.
Yeah.
I went out to the car, turned on Spotify, queued up the United States Marine Corps band's version of the Star Spangled Banner, listened to it and cried.
I've cried many times listening to the national anthem.
I was overwhelmed.
That's an amazing, that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing. Who was one of the favorite people you ever got to meet doing?
Liberace,
I would
Wow.
have killed to meet Liberace.
he was so nice. He was, and you know, can I be honest about it?
Yeah,
We're going way back in the day, and I've met a lot of people.
sure.
The list is a very long list,
Yeah.
but this is when WJZ was the title sponsor of the Pier 6 Concert Pavilion downtown.
I remember.
And every night, one of us would introduce an act, or 3 or 4 times during the run.
Yeah.
I got to introduce why am I spacing out on their name? YMCA,
The Village People.
The Village People.
Yeah,
I got to introduce them, and they were the original guys.
That's awesome.
Shared a beer with them before they went out. Great guys, Village People.
Yeah.
They're such great guys. I spaced out YMCA, but anyway.
You brought Liberace on.
So his band went out and did like almost 20 minutes before he came out.
Right.
And backstage, for some reason, was empty, just me. And this is when I smoked.
Yeah.
So I'm standing there smoking a cigarette. Beautiful, beautiful evening. And I hear a door open up. If the folks have never been behind Pier 6 back in the day, it was mobile trailers.
Right. I remember.
Was
Yeah.
the back.
Right.
And I walk in. Here comes Liberace walking over to me. He had a pack of Merit Yellows in his hand. Never forget it. And he goes, "Friend, can I get a light from you?" Exact quote. I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "My name's Marty Bass." He goes, "You're the fellow introducing me tonight. Call me Lee."
No
Wow.
kidding.
Swear to you, call me
You
Lee.
didn't burn his fingers, did you?
And I gave
He may have burned Marty's. If you know what I mean.
Well, it's funny because people say, well, he was obviously, throwing, just throwing some light. Nope.
Sure.
Nope. Put that to rest. Just a good guy. And he goes, "Isn't it a beautiful night?" Well, he said to me, he got down to business. He said, "Have you read the script we provided?" I said, "Lee, I've got it down. I know when to hit certain things, when to stop, when to bring you on." He goes, "Good." And he dropped it. He trusted me. He goes, "What a beautiful night." And then he took a couple drags and he goes, "I remember this before Harbor Place." Because remember, he went to the Peabody Conservatory of Music.
Yeah.
And that's where he learned his chops.
Yeah.
He started talking about downtown, and they used to
The
unload
wharfs or the wharfs.
the wharfs.
Yeah.
He said they'd unload the banana boats there, and we didn't have any money. We'd go down and they'd give us a banana for a penny, and he was just marveling at Harbor Place. And then he listened, and he looked at his watch. He goes, "We've got time for one more. Can I use your lighter again?" We lit another cigarette, and we just stood there. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, Lee, I got to take advantage of this. Can I look at your rings?" And he goes, "Of course." And his hands were huge.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
size of that computer.
Right.
Huge. And he goes, "All these rings have been given to me. I think that you should only wear jewelry that's been given to you if you're a man."
Wow.
He wasn't
yeah.
into costume jewelry. And he pulled off that big one that was the piano
Looked
keys.
like a
wore on
chandelier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, "This was given to me by the family from Baltimore that started Caesar's Palace on the occasion of my
Wow.
100th performance at Caesar's Palace." I went, "A Baltimore family started Caesar's Palace?" He goes, "Absolutely." And I think the name was Jacobson, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe,
I never knew
idea.
that.
Let me Google that. I don't know. And I was holding it, and he said, "This one was from so and so, so and so." So he was just being cordial. And then he listens again. And he goes, "It's time to go to work." And when he said that, the door opened up, and his valet came out with this like 11-foot long mink cape.
Stole cape.
Stole-
Yeah.
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 And he put the cigarette out, and he goes, "Come on, kid, let's go to work." God's honest truth.
What a phenomenal story.
Yeah. So we go backstage and we're standing there and there was a stage manager.
Yeah.
And when the appropriate time came out, he gave me a cue, go on out. And I hit my marks. I did everything I was supposed to do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to Baltimore. Liberace. As I'm walking off, he grabs me, walks me right back out, had his arm around me. He goes, want to thank Marty. Great guy. Swear to God.
Wow.
And I walked off and he continued his performance.
Marty, what a tremendous story.
Tremendous story. What a great, just an honestly nice guy enjoying a beautiful evening.
That's
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever play music, Marty? I know you're a music fan. We talked a little bit before we went on the air.
Yeah, my dad was a trumpet player in the United States Army Officers Band during World War II.
Yeah.
And I played trumpet during junior high school and high school.
Yeah.
And then I played bass in a couple like bands when I was in
Wow.
college and whatnot.
Really?
I still have a couple basses, yeah.
What
Do
kind
you
of stuff
really?
guys
And
play?
You remind me of a bass player, Marty. You're laid back. You don't really get rattled too easily, and you're always down for a good time.
And back then, there were no left-handed bass. I'm left-handed, so I had to take a right-handed bass and flip it over.
My bass player did that. My first Gray Manna took a right-handed bass and went and learned the
Because
strings were backwards.
Yeah, there were no left-handed basses.
Right. Yeah.
And not only are the strings backward, but you can't get your hand in
Right.
to go high up the fret.
Yeah.
So you really have to learn to go up. If
Yeah.
you hit the high notes this way, not that way.
What did
Wow.
you like to play, Marty?
You know, rock and roll.
Yeah.
You're a rock and roll guy at heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I would have continued playing, but, all of a sudden here comes work and
Yeah.
the morning show. And
Yeah.
it's
They
impossible.
paid you a little more money to be on TV, huh,
A
buddy?
little more money. And plus, most garage bands,
Yeah.
when we going to practice after dinner?
Right.
Well, my dinner's at like 4:00 in the afternoon. Can we practice at 5?
And bedtime 7:30. Yeah.
You did the morning show for how many years?
10. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, about 8 really, but yeah, it was grueling. You actually had longer hours than I did though, because you showed up on time, probably early. I got there at 2:06, sometimes 6:02. So yeah, you guys started earlier.
I showed up at
Yeah.
3 minutes before the red light came on.
How long did you and Don do that morning show at Jay-Z together?
32 years. Well, wait a minute. Let me think this out. I was there for 5 years. That takes it back to 42 and a half. I was with Lynn Bowie for 5 years. That takes it to 30. Figure 37 years with Don.
Wow. And now I always wondered this. You guys did. I mean, it was a legendary local morning show. I mean, it really was. It's a great show. In its heyday, and when you were really rolling, this before cable news. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. People would get their morning news from you as well. Were there mornings where you felt the weight of being a news person that you remember in your career, like 9/11? Like when you're a TV anchor doing the kind of show you do, and say on, September 12th, was the network still on at that time?
Well, 9/11, I was actually on vacation.
Really?
But it was all network at that point.
Right.
It was all network.
And so the networks take over at that point, right?
Yeah, it's a national story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if say Marty Bass is 30 years old again, and you're given the opportunity? All right, Marty, you can be the morning guy, you can be the news anchor, you can be the weatherman, you can pick any job in news that you want. Where would you go, or would it be exactly the same?
Exactly the same.
You wouldn't change anything.
No.
And I do want to say this. I shouldn't, but you did.
Okay.
No, what I mean, it was actually a compliment
Okay.
to Don, because you said if I was offered another job right now, and they said, who do you want your co-host to be? You would say Don Scott.
Well, we had that conversation before we went on.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. If they said we want you to anchor, do the same show, you have any choice of any talent in the United States, let me call Don.
That's amazing. 37. I guess that's why, man. Almost 40 years ago, you can't find. I just want to know if I'm in the top 5 if Don says no.
Number 4.
All right, perfect. I'll take 4.
Number 4.
As long as I'm in the top 5.
Number 4.
Did you have TV heroes growing up? Were there guys that you thought, man, that guy's incredible, I want to try to be not like them, but they inspired you?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Louisville.
Yeah.
And there were some folks that, the names wouldn't mean a lot here, but
Sure.
But yeah, in local TV in Louisville, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. And do you know?
But it was more disc jockeys. I was a radio guy.
Right. Yeah. Talk about that for a minute. So I'm going to paraphrase for you a little bit. You told me the entire stretch. You started in Louisville, and across the town in Indianapolis, there were 3 little towns that you described as like Cockeysville, Timonium, Towson.
Yeah,
They're that close.
Right across the river from Louisville.
Right.
But they each had a radio station.
Yeah.
And Louisville was a great radio market, legendary market, not unlike Baltimore had great radio back in the 60s.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could start at one of these little 500-watt stations where the tower was so small.
Yeah.
You want to hear a great story?
Sure.
Okay, so I show up for work the first night, a midnight shift, WXVW Jeffersonville, midnight to 6 a.m., segueing Montavani records, and once an hour practicing for 10 minutes. WXVW. He said, they taught you to say W like that.
Or say it again?
Or W.
W.
And then
I can't even do it.
So that's the way the GM wanted it said. I don't care.
Right.
So I get there about 11:30 at night. It's a radio station basically in a small shack out next to a railroad yard that had double locks on the door so hobos couldn't break in. And seriously, when a train would go by, you would put a quarter on the tone arm of the record.
On the needle.
Oh, my God.
Swear to God. Swear to you. Unbelievable. So anyway, I show up and I realize there's the tower. The lights aren't on. This is a problem with the FCC, with the FAA.
Right.
So I called up the general manager and woke him up. He goes, "You idiot. That tower is so short. It doesn't need lights. Now leave me alone." He hung up. God's honest truth.
It doesn't need a light.
It didn't need lights.
The only thing you got to worry about is walking into it.
Yeah. So you could get your start there.
Yeah.
And then later on, I was able to segue into the Louisville market.
Now,
long after that.
So now jump from Louisville. And how did you get into TV? How did that happen?
Okay,
His
so I had
looks, obviously, man.
What's that?
Come on, his good looks.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Clearly.
Yeah.
My magnificent personality. So I had a radio career in Lexington, Kentucky. In Lexington, New Orleans, I'm 20 years old working at a 50,000-watt radio station in the center of the French Quarter.
That ain't a bad job, Matt Davis. Yeah. That's a pretty good gig.
That's a dangerous gig, probably.
It had not in them days. It was probably
I said
awesome.
to you, I had such a bar tan when I left New Orleans. My complexion was the color of your t-shirt.
Right.
No sun at all.
You didn't see today.
So after that stint in radio, I decided I wanted to go to college. And I graduated with a degree in advertising, but I was doing TV and radio at my university, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, Illinois.
Wow.
Home of the Salukis.
The Salukis. What is a Saluki, Marty?
It was the Egyptian war dog. It was the dog of the pharaohs.
Is that right?
And that area of Southern Illinois to this day is known as Little Egypt.
No kidding.
Yeah. Of course, in Egypt, there's Cairo.
Right.
In Illinois, there's Cairo.
Cairo. We're going down to Cairo.
Going down to Cairo.
Yeah.
Well, Cairo is right at the confluence of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers.
Wow.
So I finished my last broadcast. I was doing the feature reports that I still do now.
Sure.
And I was also doing the weather because back then it's, can you talk for 5 minutes? Can you kill 5 minutes of time? Now weather's a very, very serious deal.
Yeah.
And for darn good reason.
Absolutely.
I mean, we say first alert weather. We issue an alert day. It's not done lightly. It's a very big deal.
Right.
But back then, so anyway, so it's finals week. My last broadcast at WSIU TV, I walk out the door, and the guy who ran the TV department at Southern Illinois was standing there with, it just so happens, the number one headhunter for the number one news consultants in America. His name was Mitch Ferris.
Wow.
I walk out the door, and Ed Brown, who himself had been a general manager at a CBS owned station in St. Louis, he said, "Marty, this is Mitch Ferris. He came to see you." Turned out this guy was in town for a graduation party. He'd seen me on TV, called Mr. Brown, Ed Brown, and said, "I want to meet this fella."
Was it a news formatted radio station you were on?
No, this was TV.
He was getting ready to go to TV. Yeah, he was doing
TV. When the station he caught you on, though, was that a news station?
No, yeah, it was WSIU TV.
Okay. Yeah.
And PBS. And then there was the NPR side. I did radio newscasts on that.
Gotcha.
I told you earlier, it's a Forrest Gump-like career. So he says to me,
it's amazing, man.
He says, I'm a big fan. I like your work. What are you doing with the rest of your life? And I said, well, to be very honest about it, I'm going to a party tonight that I'm pretty much up for everything.
Yeah.
He said, get me a tape. I said, I've got one in my desk downstairs. I got him the tape. A few months later, I'm working in San Antonio, Texas. A few months after that, I find myself in Baltimore. And it was just as bizarre of a circumstance. My first news director at WJZ was in the airport in San Antonio changing planes. It was a hub for Continental Airlines. He's in the bar not going back. He sees me on TV.
And then found out who you were, called and offered you a job.
Well, he said, send me a tape. And one thing led to another. And here I sit talking to Mickey Coachella.
Wow.
47 years later.
Story.
I owe that guy a beer. Wow, that's an amazing story, Marty.
It's a much longer story.
Yeah, but it's fascinating, man.
Just call me Forrest Gump.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Let me ask you, do you know, and I know this is a hard question to ask people, but I ask that. Do you know what you mean to the community?
Okay.
Do you know that you're like, people adore you and love you, that you're part of all of our childhoods and adult life, and you've brought us so many memories, and we have so many breakfasts and dinners and lunches where we're looking at you talking to us? Does it ever dawn? And I ask that with sincerity and respect.
Okay, I'm going to answer it with sincerity and respect.
Yes.
Enough people tell you that, you get enough longevity. You'd be lying if you say you didn't realize you've had some impact.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Mickey, I mean this with every ounce that I am.
Yeah.
You take me away from that logo, 13 WJC.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just a short, bald guy walking down the street.
Marty, I got to tell you something. And the reason I asked you that difficult question is because I want to follow it up with this. I remember the first time I met you. You will not remember this story. I was 13 years old, and you were at Golden Ring Mall, and the Baltimore Blast were a new thing in Baltimore. And it was like a Christmas event going on at Golden Ring Mall, and you were in the middle, and you had a microphone, and you said, hey, you had introduced some players. It was a new thing, and they came out juggling the ball. And me and my dad were on the second floor in the stairwell, and you asked a question. You said, the first person that can tell me who the Baltimore Blast are playing this Friday night, you got 2 tickets. And I shot my hand up and just yelled, Chicago. And you looked up and you said, who said that? And I was going, Chicago. And you said, come here. I ran down the steps. This is a true story. Onto the stage. You handed me the tickets. You said, what's your name, young man? And I said, Mickey Coachella. And you said, Mickey Coachella, good Irish boy. Give it up for him, everybody. Everybody clapped. I said, thank you, Marty. And you said, have a good time. And you rubbed the top of my head. I walked off, ran up to my dad, and thought it was the greatest day of my life up until that point. That's how I met you. Cut to 20 years later, I'm on the radio, whatever it is. And we crossed paths, were introduced through someone officially. And it might have even been a nightclub. You had come in somewhere to do something, I was managing there. You walk right up to me, hey, Mickey, Marty, and we knew each other from who we were. You were the best. Every time I've ever met you, you are not Marty Bass on TV. You are Marty Bass, the guy that lives in his house and drives his car and drinks a beer and hangs out. You're the coolest dude, or one of the coolest dudes. It's the truth. Matt, have I not said it 1,000? Yeah.
Super charming whenever I've met you as well, Marty.
But is there any other way to be?
Okay. Oh, yeah, there is. And they're not on my show, Marty.
But it's not. Look, Mickey, you know, when you walk in that door,
yeah,
you got to amp it up a little bit.
What folks
see on TV is me.
Yeah.
Just amped up. If you don't walk in with a little bit of an attitude, you're going to fail.
Yeah, listen, people want to be entertained.
Right.
We're entertainers at the end of the day.
But at the end of the day, I know the only reason people are as kind as you just were.
Yeah.
Or people will come up and say, can I take a picture? My mom's not going to believe it, this or that. It's because I stand next to that logo. It says 13 WJZ. It says Jerry Turner, Al Sanders, Richard Scher, Dick Gelfman, Don Scott, Bob Turk, hundreds of people.
There's legend after legend
who have come before me.
Yeah.
And That's the only reason I am Marty Bass. I kid you not.
Let me ask you this question.
Nikki,
go
I
ahead.
swear to God, other than that, I'm just another guy walking down the street.
Matt feels the same way. I
do.
feel the same
I was
way.
going to ask, did you cross with Oprah Winfrey, or was that before?
Yeah.
You did.
Oprah and I,
Yeah.
Oprah was the first anchor of the morning edition.
Yeah. Okay.
She was doing People Were Talking with Richard, and they put us on the morning. It was a new thing.
Yeah.
There was no morning news.
Right.
And they said, you'll do a half an hour before. Remember, we were ABC then.
Yeah.
Before Good Morning America. And Oprah was usually already in the station at that point, prepping for People Were Talking. Nothing but good to say about Oprah.
Wow.
Nothing but good.
Let me ask you, did you see something then, or did
Oh, yeah.
you knew it?
You knew it.
Wow, that's impressive.
And what did you guys have a relationship after that, or did you guys just kind of
No,
lose
not
touch?
really. It was just, good luck to you. Hope everything works out well for you.
Yeah.
Had you known, right?
But Oprah Winfrey was already in there at 6:30, so they went on the air at 9, getting prepped, getting herself together.
Yeah.
You want to hear a good Oprah Winfrey story?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It involves Richard Scher.
Yeah, who I love, by the way.
Dear friend of mine.
I love Richard Scher. Yeah. And his son Greg. Both great.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
So Richard basically taught Oprah how to do a talk show.
Right, sure.
And the reason we know this is because on the occasion of his, when he turned 60, or was some occasion, she gave him a Rolex, and on the back of it, it was inscribed, "To the man who taught me everything I know."
Wow.
She gave that to Richard Scher?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
From Oprah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So Oprah and I started the morning edition, and Don always had a great line. He'd say, "Whatever happened to your original anchor?" Well, Don, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll Google it.
Now, how long was Jerry there after you arrived? How long did you work in the building with Jerry Turner?
Okay, so I got there in 77. Jerry passed in 87.
Wow, so you had a 10-year run. Let me ask you, so when I was a kid, Jerry Turner was like God. You know what I mean? If Jerry Turner said something, it was like God himself spoke. And those newsmen in those days, the news was done differently, wasn't it, Marty?
Yeah.
And I don't want to put you in an awkward position talking about time and how it's done now.
No, it's all right.
But was there more reverence to the actual art of news broadcasting then?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so. I think there's as much reverence today.
Really?
It's a different landscape, and I think if Denise,
who was phenomenal,
is phenomenal,
I'm saying,
I wish everybody can meet Denise.
She's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. She
really is. I think Denise would say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just as reverent. It's just a different landscape.
Yeah. Do you think the cable news wars hurt news credibility? Meaning like the Foxes, the CNBCs, the MSNBC, all that stuff that went after each other and they tried to outlie. You know what I mean?
No, because remember, local always wins.
Yeah, always.
You're going to watch the local station you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Be it 13, 211, 45. And there's none of that takes place in Baltimore.
Yeah, I know.
Or I even think Tampa, whatever. It's local always wins.
Yeah.
Mimi DiPietro, legendary Baltimore City councilman, always said, "It's all about my streets and alleys. Are they clean?
If the city's clean, people are happy."
I mean, they may have cable wars going.
Right.
But local doesn't play like that. It really doesn't. At least not here.
Yeah. Are you glad Baltimore's been your home for 50 years?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you love the fact that you raised your family here, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
I mean, my kids were able to, my daughter and son still have close friends that they were in kindergarten with.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. We
That's
didn't have to be broadcasting gypsies.
Right.
You get to learn about the city. When you come to an opening day, you can feel it in here.
Yeah, you can.
Memories come flooding back.
Yeah.
It means something more than, "Ooh, wow, this is cool. Let's go down and do opening day." It's like, it's another opening day. How about them O's?
So you're in your late 20s when you got here, right? Early
24.
24. Wow. Okay. So you're 24. How long did it take you to become an Orioles fan? I mean, sincerely. How long did it take you to become a Ravens fan or Colts fan?
Day one.
You just bought right in.
Well, I was always a baseball fan growing up in Louisville. We had the minor league team of the Milwaukee Braves,
right?
The Louisville Colonels.
Yeah.
And so coming here, I remember the first time I saw Memorial Stadium. I remember the first time I got here on October 17th of 77. So the season had already ended.
Yeah.
So the next spring, I took myself to Memorial Stadium. Back then, the games, I think, started at, I want to say 8 o'clock, maybe?
It was 8:05, I think, yeah.
After work.
Yeah.
And I remember parking and looking up, and the lights were on, and I thought to myself, this is only happening in 16 cities.
Yeah.
Back then, it may have been 14 cities in America.
Yeah.
And I'm in one of them, and one of the places is right here.
Yeah.
Ain't the beer cold. Ain't the beer cold.
Marty, you've been here on TV, let's just call it almost 50 years, 47 and a half years. Who do you think, if all your years here, who do you think's the most iconic Baltimorean? If you had to pick one guy and said, Marty, who represents Baltimore?
Wow.
If we had to each elect one person that represents
live or dead?
Yeah, live or dead. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's going to be a generational thing.
Fair enough.
Because what I think, maybe not what somebody watching is thinking. So I'm going to say generational.
Yeah.
Hands down. First, second, and third round draft choice. William Donald Schaefer.
I can't argue it.
Love Schaefer.
Mayor Schaefer, Governor Schaefer. Hands down.
His love for the city and the state was sincere.
And the people.
And the people. It was all sincere, wasn't it?
Yep.
I mean, you interviewed him, you've talked to him, you met him. He was a wonderful guy.
He was in my house a couple of times for dinner when he was governor.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. And you know, you get to, when you do what you do, even more than what I ever did, you get access to people. That is,
you do.
It's fascinating,
isn't
it?
You get inside the ropes.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you're in there too, isn't it?
Yeah.
To see how it all works and to really get to know people. Like I'm glad I've gotten to know you over the years, because actually knowing you, I feel, makes me appreciate your work more. Because
Thank you.
That's the truth, because I know the guy you are. And then when I watch you do your thing, I'm like, man, this dude is really good at what he does.
For sure.
And he's really fun to hang out with, do a shot with, you know, talk about silly stuff with. You're just a good hang. That's the way I judge people.
Let me tell you the Schaefer story real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think he's a big shot. Governor
Right.
Schaefer came to his house. We always entertained.
Yeah.
My wife is a great entertainer.
Yeah.
And we had a dining room table that would seat 12, and it was round.
Wow.
So a couple of people said, what if we threw a dinner party and we asked Governor Schaefer, Richard, Ron Matz, a lady named Edie Brown, who is a PR legend.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, sure. So Governor Schaefer's like, yeah, well, I'd love to come and have you. And they were always off the record.
Yeah.
What is said here stays here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you became buddies with William Donald Schaefer. It was always, you know, Governor Schaefer, Mayor Schaefer, they always say, call me Don.
Right.
But there was always reverence. And I remember he came twice. And I remember the second time he liked my wife's spinach lasagna. He raved about it after the first time, sent us a nice handwritten note. When he accepted the second time, he said, are we going to have that same lasagna? So Sharon made him one to take back
to the State House
for he and Hilda May.
Wow.
And he was so appreciative.
Yeah.
He was absolutely appreciative. But it wasn't like, you know,
yeah,
I'm a big shot. I was buddy.
No, I get it, man.
Schaefer.
Yeah.
It was always reverence.
Yeah.
But he was Baltimore.
Yeah. And you got here right as the harbor exploded. Well, and the downtown became downtown that it was for a long time. Yeah.
When I came to town, at the corner of Pratt and Light, there was two things that stood out in my mind. It was the C&P telephone building, which is now, I guess, PNC building.
Yes.
And there was a shack on the corner with a direct line to the police station.
Yep.
Am I telling the truth?
100%. 100%.
This is what was there before Harbor Place.
I remember in the 70s, I don't remember the exact year, it might have been 76, when the tall ships came from all over the world.
Yeah.
And my grandfather drove me, my brother, my uncle, a couple of my uncles down at night. And it was not like you're walking around the harbor. I mean, you're on docks.
Right. They were seriously, it was a waterman's bar.
Yeah.
And it had a direct line in case it got out of hand to the police station.
To the police station.
And here's the most amazing thing. Harbor Place had to go to public referendum.
Right.
It only passed 51-49.
I know it.
Harbor Place was that
almost
close to
didn't,
never happening.
Wild.
Crazy.
Do you think when all said and done, Marty, how long are you going to do this for, man? You're 72. You told me that. You look fantastic.
Knock on wood.
47 and a half years. What's the out plan, buddy? What are you going to do?
How about a little breaking news for Mickey Talks?
Am I really okay? So Ed Hale, let me tell you,
Yeah.
if I'm getting breaking news, let me tell you something. And the banner and the sun can kiss my. I'm going to be nice to you, Marty. But let me tell you a story. Ed Hale came on here 2 weeks ago and said, "Mickey, hey boy, I'm thinking about running for governor for real." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, probably." And I put it out. Nobody says anything. A week later, 5 days later, the Sun and the Banner both go, in an interview. They never gave me credit.
In a random interview.
Oh, so truth be known, Ed's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, of course.
He is as close to me than my brother.
Right.
I mean, Ed can tell me, sit down, shut up, you were wrong. Or if Ed says, you did good, I'm proud of you. It really makes you feel we're that close.
Yeah.
So this is just non-political.
Yeah.
But you just sounded just like Ed.
Oh, I love Ed.
That's how I always wondered how that broke to the Banner, and then the Sun picked it up.
Hey, Marty.
Because
Mickey Talks.
well, because I'm
Marty.
I'm sitting there
Give
going,
me a shout out, Marty.
because I'm sitting there going, damn, man, I was
wanted that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
but honestly, if you watch it, I don't think Ed intended it. We were talking about politics, and I said to him point blank, I said, "Ed, why don't you run?" And he went, I think it caught him, and I think it'd been in his head, and he thought, "All right, I'll say it."
I don't think I'm breaking a confidence. He's been talking about this for a couple of months.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. But I think the first time he said it publicly was right here. And so you have breaking news at 5:38, May 7th, 2025.
On Mickey Talks, the podcast.
Some people know this, but it has not gotten out
Well, it won't get out here for a week. Trust me, Marty.
to a wider audience. Last week, I signed another contract with WJZ.
Oh, congratulations, man.
They came to me and they said, things are going well. You're still getting to the deep seats.
Yeah.
We like how WJZ at 9's going. You're an integral part of the station. If you'd like to stay, we'd like you to stay. And
Wow.
last Thursday, via DocuSign, I signed another 1 year deal with Paramount CBS WJZ.
Congratulations,
they're lucky
Marty
to have
Bass.
you. We're lucky to have you.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have the job.
Now, let me ask you a follow-up to that. Is that your last one you're going to ask for?
Never say never.
That's my man right there. Yeah, that's my man.
Well, they came to me at, when you hit 70, it kind of rearranges your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, physically, I feel 41.
Sure, yeah.
Mentally, I'm about
13. I'm sorry, buddy. I couldn't resist because I'm about 11. So don't feel bad. You're more.
Well, I was thinking 24.
Fair enough.
When I first came.
Yeah.
But it's uncharted territory.
Right.
And I was finishing a 2-year deal when I hit 71.
Yeah.
And they came to me and they said, what do you think about staying another year? And I said, I'd be delighted because
Wow.
I'm not ready to stop.
Yeah.
I'm having too much fun. I'm telling you, this WJZ at 9
Yeah.
has just given
Re-energized you?
Yeah, re-energized me.
Good for you, man.
And when they came to me and said that, I was beyond humbled.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely.
All right, Marty, I'm only saying this because Ed Hale once taught me, if you got a shot, kid, take it, right?
Yep.
I want to show you something. You see those cables right there? This studio can be fed right to your TV station. So if you'd like to work out a thing with Matt and I, where we do a little pop in on your, morning show at 9, where once a week maybe
I
we
was
tell you.
wondering what those
Yeah,
were. I just thought it was really some cruddy wire.
No, those are blank ends waiting for
I know
the
they're blank ends.
waiting
Go
for
up
the
there and-
TV station to say plug in.
Go up there and grab one. Let's see how it works.
How do you
And
talk about
I walked in there and said,
Took your
is
tongue
that code?
Listen, that's how I get my hair like this, Marty. I walk by and touch it.
So I got my hair like this.
Yeah, okay, so that's something I want to ask you. So when I was a kid,
Right.
I remember looking at you, and you had a wonderful head of hair, and it was, it never moved.
It only cost $350.
Right. I was going to ask, how long did you wear a toupee or whatever you called it?
About 4 years. Getting out of college, doing that TV thing.
Yeah.
It was highly suggested because remember, now we're getting ready to go into the late 70s and 80s, living in John, the hair generation.
Yeah, man.
It was highly suggested if you wanted to move forward in this business to do it. I started going bald. Damn, it happened in like 6 months when I was like 21 and a half, maybe 26.
Oh, so you just a young man went bald.
When I was in radio, I had a shag haircut.
Yeah.
Wore T-shirts, satin jackets.
You look cool as shit. Yeah, you look cool, man.
My hair was down to my shoulders.
Right.
It was feathered. You know what I mean? Feathered.
Feathered.
It was feathered.
Marty Bass
That was
has
the look, man.
feathered hair,
That was the
everybody.
look.
It was
Hell yeah.
long. It was
Did
the
you,
look.
did you have the big blue-handled comb in your back pocket, Marty?
Of course.
And my platform shoes. So it was suggested that I do that. And I was just so uncomfortable.
Really?
Because, people walk up to you.
Yeah.
And you can see their eyes bounce up a little bit, to right here.
Yeah, you fooled me, Marty.
And I'm going to tell you something interesting. So anyway, I just was so uncomfortable. I signed a 5-year contract here initially.
Yeah.
Coming toward the end of it, the news director was a lady, a Jay-Z legend named Natalie Brown.
Okay.
And I'd always mention.
Excuse me, is she behind the scenes?
She's the news director.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what years are we talking?
We're talking at this point, 82.
Now, let me ask you, was that a big deal for a woman to be a news director in those days? Yeah.
I think so. Natalie broke a glass ceiling.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I've worked for more women than men. That's a great Jay-Z story. But let me.
Probably all the successful years was women. No, I'm
we'll
kidding.
know right now our news director is Tanya Brown, our executive vice president of news, and our general manager is Kathy Hossetter.
Wow.
I could give you a list of women in management that far exceeds guys. I think it's a great local story that's never been covered.
We'd like to cover it on Mickey Talks if anyone's interested, Marty. Send the ladies down for a conversation.
So I had always said, I want to stop wearing it. You can't do that. You can't do that. How would it happen? Blah, 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 blah. So I went to Natalie. I said, you're getting ready to offer me another contract. I'm not going to sign it if I have to wear this hairpiece.
Yeah.
And Natalie, who had a lot of brass, said, I don't have a problem with you not wearing it, because there were times I wouldn't wear it in the newsroom.
Right. You walked around without it sometimes. You only went on the camera with it.
Yeah. Kind of like Willard did it.
Sure.
Willard Scott.
Yeah.
You fans of the Today Show for years. Willard only wore the hairpiece on TV. So she said, how would you do it? I said, I'll go away on vacation. I'll come back and it just won't be on, and it'll be a big deal. And then some other story will knock it to page 2.
Right.
Who knew the big deal it was going to become? It made international news.
You've taken your wig off. Or toupee,
coming back without it.
Yeah.
It made international news. And I'm going to tell you something interesting.
It really did make you a household name, though, in this town, didn't it?
It did. And to this day, somebody every once in a while, somebody will come up and say something snarky about it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of let it go off my shoulder. But what I really want to do is look at them and say, show me somebody who has that kind of balls to do that today.
1,000%. Nobody would do
Who would have the brass to do that today?
And what year was this?
It's 82.
Wow.
So you want to hear how it really happened? It's a great story.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And again, shout out Natalie Brown. It took a lady's courage to say, just do it.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you something else interesting. I've got blue eyes.
Yeah.
And I think my parents, God didn't give me hair, but gave me some pretty good blue eyes.
Yeah.
Until I took that hairpiece off, nobody ever commented on my eyes.
No kidding.
Because when they walked up to me,
they looked at that coif.
They were looking right there.
Yeah.
So I'll go on vacation. I come back. Now, Oprah
said, damn, you got some pretty blue eyes, Marty.
Oprah, at this point, I'm trying to think.
Take your time. We're live.
Oprah was still there probably for another year, but she was on vacation. And a guy named Rick Hunt, who was a reporter and part-time anchor, was filling in. No, take that back. A guy named Don Williams.
Wow. Look at this, Marty.
Don Williams. But anyway, so I did my normal show up, 3 minutes before the morning
Yeah,
edition.
yeah.
And I come walking out, and I sit down on the set, and nobody knew this was going to happen. Nobody.
But they had seen you without it, so that wasn't weird.
Right. So the theme is rolling. And Don said to me, he goes, not Don Scott, Don Williams. He goes, yeah, it may have been Rick Hunt. Either way.
Yeah.
Says, did you forget something? And I stood up and went, no, my zipper's up. I'm good. That's exactly what I said. I stood up and went, no, my zipper's up.
You didn't even acknowledge.
I said that and just did the show.
Now, you get off the air that morning.
Yeah.
What happens?
Phone's blowing up.
Did you have to do press? Did you?
Yes.
Did you acknowledge it?
Yes.
What did you say? You were just sick of it? Like, I was too young, I think. I didn't care. I was too young.
I basically said, it was never me.
Good for you.
And this is a station that I think is based on honesty. And I think you folks want honesty, and you now have it.
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where they may.
Well, Marty, you've inspired me, and I'd like to take this moment to make an announcement that I've kept hidden for a long time. I am not a very tall person. You believe it, Marty?
Really?
Yeah, I'm telling you. I've been hiding it for years, pal. Tomorrow, I'm 5'3", and I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think it's really.
Off.
I think for a TV guy in those days, where let's be honest, that was the me era of life. The 80s was insane. For you to be a guy that, looks mattered on TV, everything did. Young guy, take the toupee off, say, here's what I really am. I think that is when people fell in love with you. That's my recollection of sort of the, Baltimore is a town that loves a guy that's a little off center, just a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's Balmer, huh?
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think that people of Baltimore, there's a couple other cities like this, but we see through BS immediately. And when you took that off and said, hey, this is who I am, everybody went, yeah, I could deal with that guy.
You know who else wore a toupee and stopped wearing it?
Who?
Brooks Robinson.
Is that right? Because of you?
I don't think funny. I don't think it was because of me.
But at the same time period?
One of the finest men who's ever lived. I almost named my son Jake Brooks.
Yeah.
It made the final discussion.
Well,
wow.
You remember Detour Dave, legendary
Sandler,
yeah. He named his son Brooks after Brooks Robinson. And Brooks was he's one of the great Baltimoreans in history. He's a Baltimorean, but an icon.
God, I hope I got that right. Now that I'm really thinking.
Maybe it was Earl Weaver. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Did you have the wrong guy?
No, it seems to me that Brooks, I think at the end, Brooks, I may be wrong on that.
You think maybe he took his off first, or
no?
He never wore one.
No, Brooks did.
Okay.
And it seemed to me that he stopped wearing it, and then he had a fairly decent head of hair.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that.
All right, no big deal. I mean, it still doesn't.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And
Brooks on line 2.
Yeah, I don't. What's that?
Brooks on line 2.
Yeah, we got Brooks on line 2. Yeah, no. Marty, we're going to do a little segment. We're not going anywhere.
I hope I got that right. If I didn't,
who cares, Marty? This isn't news. Relax. We're having fun.
This is a man that I admire.
90% are smoking pot watching this, Marty. Don't worry about it. No, I agree with you, by the way.
But I know that Brooks was losing his. Just Google it.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah,
I don't know if it toward the end.
But you're in good company nonetheless. Yeah,
whatever.
And but we do a little segment here called Matt's Music Minute, and we just chime in. He tells us little music stories, and we do it. So, ladies and gentlemen,
put the headphones on.
Yeah, in case there's some audio, go ahead. It won't hurt nothing.
So Matt's Music Minute. We got 3 stories for you today. Marty would love to have your take on everything, of course. Not good news to start off for Smokey Robinson. He's been accused of sexual assault.
Jesus.
Famed Motown singer Smokey Robinson, accused by 4 women, all employed as housekeepers. They submitted a $50 million lawsuit in the LA Superior Court on Tuesday. Among their allegations are sexual assault, false imprisonment, and creating a hostile work environment. The lawsuit also named 85-year-old Frances Robinson, his wife. Robinson has not commented on these allegations.
And Marty, I know that's a weird story. I don't want to get you involved in it the way we talk about it. But, Matt, I got to ask you something. Smokey Robinson, whether people realize it or not, is a top 5 songwriter of all time. I mean, the guy's written 1,000
The Miracles,
top
and then all
40,
the solo stuff,
all the
and,
Jackson 5 stuff. I mean,
yeah.
just a genius. So take anyone like that, Bill Cosby, any of these men that happens to. This sounds horrible, what I'm about to say, but I don't know why men would do that when there's millions of women that would just be so happy to be with it's the weirdest.
I agree, especially when it sounds like his wife is okay with everything happening too.
I mean, it's amazing when zeros after a number can make a big difference for a lot of people, and it's sad. All right, anyway, moving on from Smokey.
All right, well, Kanye has stormed out of a Piers Morgan interview.
I saw this, and by the way, screw Kanye.
Yeah.
I am done with this lunatic. Have you covered Kanye on the show much? All that craziness he does. Do you guys even bother with it?
That's more of a Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
Network.
So
story.
if I'm not mistaken, Matt, Piers Morgan says, okay, Kanye, you're very, you have a huge audience. You have 32 million. And Kanye got pissed because it's actually 33.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole gist of the story here.
It's crazy.
He abruptly walked out after Morgan mistaked his ex-follower count, citing 32 million instead of 33.3 million.
Yeah, and Kanye took offense to that, Marty.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about Kanye?
Everything?
I truly think he's a borderline genius.
Oh, he definitely is.
I mean, he locked himself in his mom's basement and came out with a disc, an album with music that
changed the world.
The world.
Yeah.
And people that really are that,
I understand it.
They're a little bit different.
Yeah, but
he's kind of over the edge.
Yeah, he's gone beyond.
I think the guy needs a conservatorship.
Yeah, I mean, he's really going to hurt somebody or himself.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Let's really hope not.
But yeah, I mean, that's where it's heading.
So you'll like this story because Marty, you walked in here wearing a Dead & Company shirt today. So Jerry Garcia is getting his own Shakedown Street.
Is he really?
Yeah, this August 9th.
In San Francisco?
That's right.
Yeah.
It marks the 30th anniversary of the death of Grateful Dead lead singer and guitar player Jerry Garcia at 53. To commemorate the anniversary, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors has approved a resolution to rename Harrington Street, a one-block street in the Excelsior District. That's where his grandparents used to live. It's where his mother was born, and it's where he spent a lot of time as a child.
I mean, listen, I'm on record, Marty. I'm not a huge Grateful Dead fan. I just never
yet.
That's a good point because I hear you're also a Parrot head.
Yes.
A huge Jimmy Buffett fan. So I recently was kind of turned on to Buffett. I always thought, all right, all these potheads and drinkers, which I never drank my whole life. I didn't do drugs really. So it was not my social scene.
Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer
Right.
Band.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but later in life, I found that I still don't like to drink, but I sure do enjoy that new legal stuff they have. And I have found Jimmy Buffett to be an incredible songwriter.
Incredible.
I mean, like, dude, I'm talking about like with the greats. I never understood because I knew the 3 big songs. I knew the ones everybody.
Changing Latitude, Margaritaville, Why Don't We Get Drunk?
And the Cheeseburger song.
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
That's it. I thought he was a novelty act that everybody
I know Pencil Thin Mustache.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I've actually got a playlist, a Spotify playlist of songs that weren't hits.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best music he did. He did a song called Cowboy in the Jungle.
Yeah.
Which is it's almost my life's attitude.
It's wild the way I didn't realize like what a rebel that guy really was. What sort of like living off the grid, like his whole idea of just his fascination with like pirate lifestyle and just this kind of nomad way of life. He was a pilot, just a fascinating guy. I wish I would have
Sailor,
had the chance.
A pilot.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible stuff.
And by all accounts, he was just one of the great guys of all time. Easily approachable.
Yeah.
Would hang out. Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Yeah.
Did you meet Buffett?
No, I never did. To be quite honest about it, I would have loved to. I probably would have been speechless. His music has really defined my life.
That's awesome.
Well, you're a boater too, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense for your lifestyle.
And I think I found boating because of Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, is that right?
I found the Caribbean.
So
I found the Caribbean because of Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean. Matter of fact, I would say 90% of my vacations have been to the Caribbean.
Wow.
And it's because of Jimmy Buffett.
That's awesome,
Wow.
man.
Yeah.
I will say I love the Caribbean. I mean, I adore the Caribbean. I think
That's our spot too. It's where we go.
I think it is one of the most relaxing, I think it's one of the most earthly trips you can take, because you really do understand the beauty of Earth
And
when you're in the Caribbean
and the sound of the water,
and all of it.
smell,
and
the
how about the
fragmentani,
color of the water? You know,
the color.
Yeah.
Here's what it lacks, and what makes it fantastic.
Can't wait to hear this.
No, it's actually it lacks any kind of progress other than life. Like there's no sense of rush. There's no sense of factories
Island time.
It's just you're just in paradise, and there's thriving businesses, but the paradise is never lost on you.
And if it doesn't get done today, it'll get done tomorrow.
And if it's not done tomorrow,
Sharon and I went through Hurricane Hugo as a Cat 5 hurricane on St. John.
Jeez.
which is about that big. Yeah.
Holy cow. Within a week, the Queen and the Royal Navy had the British Virgin Islands, at least with some electricity and phones. St. John, it's like, well, we got the wires up on this block today. We'll get the next block tomorrow. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Did you ever sail down to the Caribbean as a boater, or were you always flying for
No, I've always
vacations?
flown down, but
Yeah.
we when I say I, my wife and I,
Yeah.
there's another couple we travel with, our dearest friend, my college roommate and his wife are our best friends. They live in Kansas City. We've done the bareboat thing 5 times in the BVI.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great vacation.
Do you find it easy to like reset when you're there? Like, or do you just go all out? Like, when you're in the Caribbean, do you mellow out, or do you amp it up and just party like crazy?
No.
To which one? No.
Well, it takes me a couple of days to calm down,
Yep.
but then it's like, as Jimmy Buffett
Yeah.
would say, as Jimmy Buffett once sang, living and dying in 3/4 time.
I love it. My friend Stan, who turned me on to him, and he's a huge parrot head. And who would you prefer? You have one concert left to go to. It's the Dead in their prime or Buffett and his. Which one you going to?
Okay, I'm going to say Buffett, and I'm going to tell you why.
Fair enough.
Been to both shows.
Yep.
The Dead never repeat a song, never repeat a show.
Yeah.
What they play tonight, they will not play tomorrow.
Right.
So you don't know what you're going to get. That's
Yeah.
why a Deadhead will say, they gave us Ripple.
Yeah.
They gave us Eyes of the World. They gave us Dark Star, Terrapin Station.
Right.
But when Jimmy Buffett would be coming to Merriweather or wherever you're going to see him, from the time you woke up that morning, you knew what you were going to get, and the party started with the first cup of coffee.
Wow. See, that's just a lifestyle.
You
That's
knew
a
what
culture.
you were going to get. You were going to get the hits. Jimmy Buffett talked a lot on stage. You were going to get a tremendous production.
Wow.
Coral Reefer Band, big show.
That's
you knew what
awesome.
you were going to get, and the party started with your first cup of coffee, which may or may not have had some rum in it.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. It's legal. Do you smoke pot? Or do you? I mean, I'm just going to ask you direct. It's legal. Are you a pot guy, or did you stay away from that in your career?
I grew up. I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Did you inhale, Marty?
It's a tough league in here.
I'm kidding with you.
I graduated high school in 71.
Yeah.
And so, it was the times.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, what's funny? My son is 21 years old, and, he enjoys pot, and I can't even get upset or anything. And I think it's like, I was always like, yeah, I'd rather you do that than drink. Like, I don't know, but I'm just glad you're such a cool dude.
Well,
Like-
I appreciate that. Whatever your weed, liquor,
Yeah.
whatever, just be responsible.
Moderate, man.
Just be responsible.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Some people say, well, it's a gateway drug. You know what the gateway drug is? I'm being serious here.
Sugar.
Well, you can make a, given the rush, you could make it. But
what do you think it is?
Beer.
You think beer leads to all of it?
What was the first thing that you snuck as a high school student?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I know what you mean. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Absolutely.
Just whatever you do, please, for God's sake, be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. Marty, we got more music, Matt?
That's it for Matt's Music Minute. We do have
we're going to go right now. Here's our news, Marty. This is called That's the Facts, Matt, brought to us by Barnes Paving, BARNES paving.com. Give them a call at 443-243-3710. Barnes Paving is MHIC licensed and insured and accredited with the BBB. That's the Better Business Bureau. Commercial paving, residential, driveways, whatever you need. And when you call them, make sure you mention Mickey Talks to get 10% off. It is now time for That's the Facts, Matt. What do we got, buddy?
Yeah, so guys, unfortunately, no Triple Crown for you this year. Race fans hoping for a shot to see a Triple Crown winner this year are officially out of luck. Yesterday, officials announced that Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty would not be running at the Preakness a week from Saturday, and this will be the 7th consecutive year that a Triple Crown winner won't happen. What do you think of that? That's bad planning, if you ask me.
Isn't it 10 years? Wasn't the last American Pharaoh?
Yeah, I think American Pharaoh won it 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Hey, Siri.
I love
What year did American Pharaoh win the Triple Crown?
American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown in 2015.
10 years.
10 years.
This is from Who2.com.
Thank you.
Wow, look at Marty knowing everything. Are you a big fan of Preakness like me?
Yes.
I think it's one of the...
Go ahead.
You like what they did with it?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
See, as a Baltimore kid, Marty, growing up here my whole life, from the time I was 11 years old, I'm like, I can't wait till I can go to the infield. And I loved it. And then I get it. I mean, times have changed. I understand. But didn't you love the running of the fools? That's what I called it.
Mickey, can I
Really?
be honest?
Yeah,
I understand it was a rite of passage. Look, I've covered the cleanup the day after Preakness and watched bodies crawl out of mountains of rubble.
Yeah, no, I've seen it.
Seriously.
Yeah, I know you're right. Yeah.
It just got embarrassing.
You're right.
It was just time for it to end.
You're probably right. Yeah.
And to this day, I'm friends with Karen DeFrancis.
I am too. I think she's one of the loveliest human beings I've ever met.
Absolutely 1,000%.
Yeah.
And by sheer will, move the Preakness forward.
Can I tell you a funny bit, like network story?
Sure.
Matt, Ed Kiernan. Did you ever meet Ed, who was the
general manager of WBAL?
Yeah.
Great guy.
Great. He had BAL and 98 Rock.
Yeah, great guy.
He's my boss. He's my favorite boss I've ever had.
Great guy.
He says to me one time, he comes to me, and I was begrudgingly his nemesis without being it drove him crazy that I succeeded. He used to tell me, I don't know how you succeed. You mess up everything and everybody loves you. It's hilarious. It was a joke. So he comes to me and he goes, Mickey, I can't believe in all my years of broadcasting and what I've had to do as a businessman, I need you to go to a meeting with me to sit down with Karen DeFrancis and the Pimlico people to discuss the broadcast because you're the morning guy now. No problem, Ed. I'll be there. He goes, all right. Please don't speak unless I ask you a direct question. Right? So here's the truth.
That's epic.
Yeah, it's the best.
Dude,
so
that's epic.
We go into the meeting and it's at Pimlico and we're sitting around the table and I had never met Karen DeFrancis before. And I didn't know that she was a very attractive lady as well and insanely smart.
Insanely smart.
Intimidatingly educated and brilliant.
But not an intimidating person.
So here's what happened. She walks in the room. Ed says, Karen, they've known each other, very cordial. A couple other people. She looks at me. I said, hi, Karen, Mickey Coachella, 98 Rock morning guy. She goes, Coachella, are you Italian? I said, yes, I am. She goes, oh, right. I knew I'd like you. And from that moment, we just hit it off. I think she's one of the coolest ladies I have ever met.
Yep.
So I always root for them no matter what. And they're just great people.
Well, and they ran the Maryland Jockey Club.
Yeah. She
and Joe. And Frank DeFrancis.
Yep.
The legendary Frank DeFrancis.
That was the dad, right? That was their dad. Yeah.
Great guy. And I was close enough to Karen that she brought me in the loop, said, we're gonna kill the infield.
Yeah.
The running of the urinals ended it.
Yeah. I remember that was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It made it made Baltimore look real damn good coast to coast, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it was pathetic.
So they ended it, and Karen said, I've come together with a plan, and we decided we're going to lose X amount of dollars by doing what we're going to do, limit the crowd, this and that. We're giving ourselves 5 years to get the numbers back to where they were before we killed the infield.
Yeah.
And ZZ Top was the first
I remember
concert.
ZZ Top.
It was kind of a rainy day.
Yep.
And then one thing leads to another. And now look at the beauty you have in the infield.
Yeah.
Those corporate tents, the concerts, the this.
I get it.
That.
It's just I guess when you grew up, and and maybe it's ignorance. I don't know. Maybe I'm smart enough to say that.
It was a legitimate right of passage for high school students in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It was what it was.
Yeah.
Just like senior week in Ocean
Right,
City.
yeah.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
But at some point, the adults have to go, whoa.
Yeah. You kids ruined it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. You're right. What else we got, buddy?
All right, we're going to get a little weird, Marty. I hope you don't mind. I don't know how you feel about aliens, but this story missed by a lot of the press this week, which is kind of crazy. A government-affiliated physicist has just confirmed with Congress that our government is aware of several alien species. So this happened during a May 1st briefing hosted by the House Oversight Committee and the UAP Disclosure Fund, an event that is largely flown under the radar. What you're about to hear, if you guys want to hear, I have like a minute-long clip. If you guys,
we just
it's going to.
You don't use them. Don't use them.
It might be a little hard to hear, so if it is, tell me, and I'll tell you what he's saying.
Okay, go ahead.
But what you're about to hear is a sitting member of Congress asking a respected astrophysicist, Eric Davis, who is well known for being a part of classified government programs, about the different types of alien or extraterrestrial species that the U.S. government has allegedly come in contact with.
Before you play it, let me just tell Facebook, you're not going to hear it, Facebook. Those of you on YouTube, Rumble, and the other stuff, you will hear it. So, and I'll translate to the Facebook audience. Go ahead, Bob.
Can you comment on whatever species have been?
Yeah, I can't hear it, Matt. So what is he saying, basically?
All right, so let me take it off the
feed
here.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're hearing Congressman Eric Burleson from Missouri questioning physicist Eric Davis on May 1st, and Eric confirming that the government is aware of 4 different species of aliens, which he calls the Greys, the Nordics, the reptilians, and the insectoids. He said most of them were either in the 4-foot tall range or in the 5 to 6 foot range. And,
all right, I'm just getting out of this argument. Marty, don't do it.
I was going there.
Don't you want to know what Marty thinks, though?
Yeah, Marty. What do you?
I was talking about you being 5'3".
Yeah, so was I. But how do you like? Do you even have an opinion on the alien thing? Has it ever fascinated you?
Yeah, believe it or not, I love doing Instagram reels and watching Neil deGrasse Tyson, Professor Brian Cox.
Is that the British guy?
Yeah.
How brilliant is that dude?
Brilliant. And there are others.
Yes.
Here's how you have to look at it. This is going to get rather deep.
Go ahead, brother.
But the distances, Brian Cox talks about this all the time.
Yeah.
The distances are so enormous that for another life form to get here, and if they're good enough to get here, they've got, as Brian Cox would say, they've left some signature that we can find.
Yeah.
We haven't found that yet, but if they were good enough to get here from those distances, it means they would have had to have figured out a way to bend time.
Right.
Wormhole or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And if they're that good, we've already lost the war.
Of course. But
we hope they're benevolent.
Right. We hope they're benevolent. You would think someone that advanced and that smart would realize they're picking on ants. You know what I mean?
Basically, yes.
I mean, am I right?
Just apes.
Yeah, we're just dumb, stupid, life forms.
Right.
That maybe they would, we'd hope that the good part of humans wants to take care of life. And
what is it Brian Cox said, or is it Neil deGrasse Tyson, that in the DNA helix, the difference between us and chimpanzee is what?
1/10%.
No, I think it's 1 or 2%.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Imagine if this other life form comes here, and in the DNA helix, we're the same distance away as we are from chimpanzee. They'd look at us like
chimpanzees.
Exactly correct.
Yeah, 100%. But we don't want to murder and destroy chimpanzees.
I just can't.
I hear you, man. It's bizarre, isn't it? But we are reaching a time, Marty, where I think we're going to have real answers soon. I think they are.
Well, nobody could keep a secret that
but
big, that long. It's impossible.
You say that.
Well, let me ask you, Marty. So, I mean, that to me, that's whether you believe it or not. The fact that came out in a congressional hearing from a credible astrophysicist to a member of our Congress, is that still too hokey of a story for mainstream media to cover? Because, I mean, even if you don't believe that, just the fact that there are
congressional hearings
of 4 different species in our universe.
I don't know the astrophysicist, and I don't want to besmirch, slander, or libel him.
Sure.
I would love to. I'm sure this gentleman has quite a resume. I would like to have a couple of follow-up questions.
Yeah.
As a reporter,
sure.
Okay, I understand the testimony you just gave. May I please ask the following question?
Yeah.
The congressman doesn't even play into it.
Right. They don't even. It's almost like they don't want to know. I think that's all part of the slow reveal.
That was a small clip from a 4-hour hearing that they had. Actually,
it's bizarre, right?
You know, part of me wants to say the heck with it, but part of me is like, well, never say never.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, Marty. Let's say tomorrow we wake up, President Trump says, big announcement, 10 o'clock. It's something to say, right? And he comes on and he goes, you throw it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going live now to the White. Hey, listen, they're here.
Everyone's getting probed.
Yeah, we're all going to, it's real. Sorry it took so long. Space Force under control. How would the world react?
Panic.
I think so, too. And
absolute panic.
I think that's why they keep it hidden.
Absolutely. Imagine what it would do
to everything.
Organized religion.
It's done.
Religion across the board
is done.
But you guys, it's not so hidden anymore. There's so many credible whistleblowers and people from our government. And,
but we are 1/10 of 1% of 1% that follow it this much.
Yeah, you're probably
the average person drives to work, goes to Dunkin' Donuts.
How can you not, though? Right? I mean,
would think.
Yeah.
You just cannot keep a secret that big, that long. It's impossible.
But like Matt's saying, is it really a secret anymore? And is the government just slow rolling the reveal? That's what I feel like's happening.
If it's not a secret anymore, why is it not the lead story on WJZ tonight?
Because I think that the governments know what would happen if Marty Bass said it's confirmed aliens are real.
There are whistleblowers on every subject all throughout government.
Yeah, I know.
You can't keep a secret.
I got another weird whistleblower story for you guys, actually.
Yeah, let's hear this one.
So this comes from a former Bush administration official who claims the U.S. built a secret $21 trillion underground city for the rich and powerful to live if a near extinction event happens. This is according to the New York Post. She claims the federal government has secretly spent trillions building an elaborate network of subterranean cities, not just bunkers, but cities.
They're going to need entertainment down there, Marty. The three of us got to get an act together quick.
Yeah, about 170 such bunkers have been built across the country since 1998, including some resting beneath the oceans off the U.S. coast. This according to 74-year-old Catherine Austin Fitz. It's preparation for a catastrophe, Fitz says. She served as the Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President George H.W. Bush from 89 to 90 and claimed $21 trillion in taxpayer dollars were funneled into the project between 98 and 2015.
Yeah, I mean, after, what was it, Greenbrier? Is that the big one in West Virginia they built with the entire Senate? Was able to be housed.
Government has to go.
It was Greenbrier, wasn't it called Greenbrier?
Somewhere out in that area.
Yeah, big mountainside thing. After they did that and nobody even in the town knew it, I'm pretty much sure they can do anything. Well, I believe it.
Isn't it in Sweden that they have the grain bank where in a secure, very safe, well climate-controlled underground location, they have a seed of every plant,
grain,
everything green on the earth.
Yeah, I thought that was in Antarctica or the Arctic, but somewhere so remote.
Hey, Siri.
Yeah.
Where is the storage facility for all of the seeds in case of catastrophe?
Let's find out, Matt.
The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, located in the Arctic archipelago of Svalbard, is a secure underground facility that holds the world's largest collection of seeds. The vault, often referred to as the Doomsday Vault, serves as a safeguard to protect crop diversity and preserve the planet's agricultural future against wars,
She's our co-host.
natural disasters, and climate change.
Thank
This
you.
answer is from Big Think. Of course.
All right. You know, Matt, I wasn't thinking. If we don't have a guest show up,
Yeah.
why don't we just interview Siri for
That's
an
what
hour?
I'm saying.
Hey
Yeah.
Siri, you have a choice.
Sorry,
I'm
I
like-
don't understand.
Siri, I'll get right back to you. I'm going to ask this. Siri, I'm going to ask this.
I know what you're going to ask, I think.
I got to stop laughing.
All right.
Hold on, I'm going to ask
Okay.
this question.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's not laugh.
All right. Let's think of something terrible so you won't laugh.
Let's talk about 9/11 again or something. Let's get to so we can talk to
Here's the
Siri.
vision of the Titanic going down.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What do we want to ask
Okay.
her?
Hey Siri, you have your choice. Hey Siri, you have your choice of 2 concerts. You can only attend one: Jimmy Buffett or the Grateful Dead. Sorry, I don't understand. What a bill.
Why not go to both?
Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Let's do one more,
All
Matt,
right, we
and
got-
let the great Marty Bass enjoy his
We got one
evening.
more fun story here. An Ohio woman has been arrested after police find a raccoon with a meth pipe in her car. 55-year-old Victoria Vidal got pulled over near Akron, Ohio on Monday for an outstanding warrant. She was also driving on a suspended license, but that's not the real story here. It's in the news because one of the passengers in her car was a pet raccoon, and she got busted for drugs after the raccoon pulled out a meth pipe and tried to smoke it. We got video. We got video. Can we play the video real quick?
Yeah, we won't see it on Facebook, but
it's
go
not,
ahead.
It's not going to be on Facebook, but if you're on YouTube, you're going to see this here.
Okay, you're on 2 beer in 2 minutes. I'm right across from my house.
Look at this.
Okay.
Can you see it, Marty? Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what she's smoking meth in.
For those of you on Facebook who are
It's a raccoon
experiencing,
playing with her meth
there's a
pipe.
police officer's chest body cam looking in a car. There's a raccoon holding a crack
there's
pipe
no-
like
Oh,
this
to its mouth.
through its mouth like it's smoking it. Like it's hilarious. Look it up, Facebook. It
And
is
this
so
cop was
funny.
losing it.
The cop is just cracking up. And then he does it again. They take the one crack pipe from him.
And there's
He
another
goes
one.
back in the car and finds another one.
That was real body cam video.
Yeah, that was real body cam video.
Crazy.
Yeah, Facebook, look that up. Marty, listen. The comments on our thing, everybody loves you, man. They adore you. You are to me. I mean, I'm a Baltimore kid since the day I'm born. Very rare in the media that someone actually from the town is on it, but you have been, a hero. Like I grew up watching you. When I got to know you personally, you are a tremendous guy, and I'm so glad I've gotten to not only know you professionally but personally. And I remember, I want to tell people this: when I left the radio station, Matt, and I did a video about you called me. I don't know if you remember that. About a month later, and you just said, "Hey, buddy, just checking on you. You okay?"
That's cool.
And that always meant the world to me, Marty Bass, and I'll never forget that.
Well, I Mickey, you're a very special guy. And once again, thanks for the compliments. But I'm telling you, and I'll say this over and over and over again,
Yeah,
if I didn't stand next to that 13
I get it.
WJZ, I'm just another guy
I'm with you.
walking down the road.
Yeah, man. You're a good man, Marty Bass. I thank you. You have no idea how much this means to
My
me,
brother,
that you would take such a
Thank
small
you, Marty.
show
Thank you.
and take your time and come do it, and it means the world.
there's nothing small about it.
Well, it's
It's Mickey Talks.
thank you, brother. Hey, that's a drop right there,
That is
man.
what
I
we're gonna grab
appreciate
that.
it. We are. Everybody else tomorrow on the show, head coach of the Baltimore Blast, David Bascom. I am so excited to have
Good guy.
you. Great guy.
Good guy.
An amazing life story, struggle, success, all of it. The guy is a wild entrepreneur. He is from Bermuda. He is a local hero where he's from. The story is incredible. Tune in tomorrow at 5. Matt, how do people follow us and everything?
Please like us on YouTube. Follow us. Subscribe to us, I should say, because we're not going to be on Facebook forever. It's eventually going to be all YouTube. YouTube.com/Mickey Talks Pod. Give us a subscribe and listen to us anywhere you can find podcasts as well.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow at 5.